we'll have another different one-on-one sort of a session. But to talk more about that, I'm now going to invite Mr. Soren Shah on stage. Soren is also, though Paru doesn't like the word, an industry veteran with over 25 years of experience and is currently the VP and Global Head of CMI Center of Excellence at GCPL, that's Godrej Consumer Products. And he will introduce the next presenter and his session for all of us. Welcome, Soren.
Thanks, Aman. So I'm going to introduce to you Subramanyeswar, popularly known as Subbu. He's the Group CEO and Chief Strategy Officer for Asia Pacific of MullenLoweGroup. He's also the Global Chair of Strategy of the group. He has spent 2.5 decades in advertising and marketing, having worked at Wipro, Publicis, Rediffusion, Saatchi & Saatchi in the markets of India, US, and UK. The businesses he has anchored is an endless list, prominent ones being P&G, Unilever, Colgate, Citibank, General Mills, Samsung, Maruti, Hyundai, Tata Tea, Tanishq, Idea Cellular, Britannia, Google, Flipkart, and Swiggy. The list just keeps going on and on. Subbu has authored and won 143 awards at India FEs, APAC FEs, Global FEs, Asian Marketing Effectiveness, WARC, and J. Chiat by Forays, American Association of Advertising Agencies. He has played a leading role in MullenLowe Group becoming the #1 agency in India and APAC, and #2 globally on the FE Index rating. Subbu is the author of Brands to Stands, a groundbreaking book that celebrates the authentic and highly captivating stories of how 25 of India's leading brands have created brand marketing history by adopting a point of view, taking a stand, and spearheading purposeful action. Get inspired as a fantastic leader from the field of advertising tells us about how communication to consumers took insights to new levels to support brands in challenging times. Subbu, the stage is all yours. Let's hear what you have to say.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you so much. You make me feel very comfortable. And I've never addressed a conference like this. It's my absolute privilege and honor to be part of this. Whatever I've done in my life, everything that he had spoken, all the brands and all the work that I've done on the brands, whatever I've learned about people, about consumers, are all from all the learnings given by people like all of you. So thank you very much for that. So taming the choppy waters, when the organizer discussed this subject with me, I think we have got used to it now. Probably it has become a habit to live forever in the choppy waters. It's a question of what is the intensity of those choppy waters. So I'm going to share a perspective with you as a practitioner of brand marketing, a perspective that I strongly believe in, very, very strongly believe in, on what brands need to be today and going forward. And this is a subject, it's not new, and this is something that people have been speaking about for more than a decade or so. Several people, there are arguments for and against, and I know a lot of market research agencies. I know definitely, and my friend Ramki is sitting here. Kantar does a lot of work when it comes to the area of purpose-led brand building and all those kinds of things. Plenty of work happens. But I think every time when people ask these questions, I feel even more passionate about emphasizing why the world needs it, why it needs even more now and even more into the kind of world that we are heading into. And here is a perspective that I would like to share with you. I call it brands to stands. Every brand needs a point of view or a purpose. Sometimes when we discuss these heavy subjects, and various passionate arguments and all, I'm going to keep talking about, sometimes it's good to go back to the fundamentals at the very basic level and ask ourselves some very foundational questions. So when I started putting this argument together, I started by asking myself a question. The question is a simple question. What is a brand for? So I asked her about, let me think about, like, we have done a lot of work and all. What is a brand for? Now, if I put it in simple terms, the commercial answer to this question, both simple and well rehearsed, okay, it's to achieve the potential for a higher value in the minds of consumers than the generic unbranded product or service. That's all, as simple as that. That's probably the reason why we pay Surf Excel a lot more than any other detergent, or we pay Evian costs more than the commodity that emerges from the tap. These are all the things. It's very simple. Like, that's how it starts. My point is, this gets us only so far today. Since most brands do not anymore compete exclusively with generic products and services, they compete with everything in the world, with every single thing. It's only in our minds when we look at, oh, this is the category, now how many players are there in this category and cross category and all those. But like, you are competing with everything. You're not only competing with other brands in other categories, you are competing with other compelling experiences which are coming and cutting into your brand. But we still have to build brands. Okay? We still have a job to do. Question is, how can then any given brand earn advantage over others? Now, again, the answers are well rehearsed, but they're not so simple, at least not in practice. Advantage may be pursued by means of a whole range of discipline, all these activities. I used to feel, people used to say, like, corporations still call about it. Oh, we bring in better consumer understanding. We are better at innovation, better at segmentation, better at new distribution channels, whole host of things that happen. Every single thing. The problem is, every branded competitor, every competitor is doing very well on all these counts. Otherwise, we don't even have a place in the market. And the advantage is, like, the so-called advantage that people keep talking about is, if I may exaggerate, is probably less than 24 hours. Nothing else. And still, like, sometimes it's nightmare for classical marketing. How do you build brands? The holy grail of marketing, difference of shareholders, business value, all those wonderful arguments we keep talking about. What do we do if I'm not able to find any difference between one and the other? We all suffer from the bane of similarity, right? Everything looks and feels the same. There's no difference between one and the other. And all of you are, like, wonderful, amazing research people, like, you have wonderful work you do. We keep coming and troubling you. Can you give me new consumer insight? How many new consumer insights will you bring? There's an end to that. You can't keep producing new insights every day and every night. It doesn't happen that way. And it has been proven time and again. The so-called differentiation is most vivid only in the marketer's mind. In the consumer's mind, it doesn't exist. I'm not going to name a client of mine, okay, very dear client of mine, okay? And when we write propositions, the statement begins with saying only. Just because I write only you will not have the differentiation. There are amazing people, lots of people are doing the same thing. And at least we feel happy. I have, at least on paper, I have differentiated my brand from somebody else. Yet there is one element within your brand's DNA that can promote divergence from other brands, one facet that's hard to copy. You can copy everything of mine. Every single thing can be copied. But I feel strongly there is one element. It's almost like my soul. Okay, you don't do that. You can copy everything of mine, whatever I do, but you don't copy your soul. You are different. So what is this elusive, mercurial, and apparently sacrificial quality? It calls for sacrifice. It calls for huge sacrifice. And to me, that's the belief. It's the belief of the brand. What I believe in. What do I believe in? And the belief is also called, you can also call it a point of view, you can also call it a purpose, or you can also call it a stand, depending on the nomenclature the organization adopts. You can call any one of these. But essentially, it's the belief of the brand. This is what I believe in. And if I can make my belief, because there is nothing else you can differentiate. We all know that, like, at the product level, I can't differentiate. In a world led by technology, and where everybody can produce the best of the technology, everybody can raise fantastic resources, everybody can create a brand, everybody can create a great brand. There's nothing to differentiate. Even the emotional space, We used to talk about, I have to differentiate on emotions. At a rational level, I can't do anything. Even that emotional space has become bereft. There was a study that was done a couple of years ago, which I read through. The top 1100 brands in the world largely operate on 5 emotions. Variations of those emotions, different nomenclatures you give it to, but essentially, fundamentally, they are all the same emotions. Either it is happiness, or it is control, or it is confidence. Ask Anila. Anila is sitting here. How many brands of Unilever operate on confidence? Okay? Everything is about confidence. And we feel good, damn good. Yes, I have differentiated. I have given this. So it's the reason for the existence of the brand in the first place. That's what a point of view is. Or it's a definitive declaration. That's what I believe. It's a declaration of what a brand believes in and why it behaves as it does. You are sticking your neck out and putting it out. There's nothing. It's arguable. It's arguable. I can agree with it, disagree with it, doesn't matter. But I'm sticking my neck out and saying this is what it is. This is my belief. You can take it or leave it. It's the idealism that moved somebody in the perhaps murky past so that the whole, despite all the obstacles, lot of obstacles, it's not easy. It looks fashionable, like when you articulate a wonderful point of view or a purpose, oh, it looks damn beautiful. When you start practicing it, it's damn hard. Because purposes are, when I see a purpose, there are a lot of people have this purpose. It's wonderful to give one PR statement and in an annual conference and all. It's great. But if you're not practicing it, if you're not living it, that purpose ends up being a bolt-on purpose. It's not a purpose that I'm living. And that's wrong and that's bad to do it. You're doing injustice to yourself and you're doing injustice to the audience that you serve. Go back and ask the belief. That was the belief. This man believed that India should be independent from the Britishers. He didn't have anything at his disposal. He didn't even have internet. I wonder how did he galvanize this whole country and made everyone believe that India should be independent because he believed so. It was that, nothing else. Nothing else. That's what drove him madly or passionately. And he could make many people believe in that. The same point that I was saying, how do I make my belief as a brand, the belief of the audience too? Go back and ask this. It was a belief of putting a man on the moon and bringing him back safely before the end of that decade. Unfortunately, he died before that happened. But it was again started with a belief, a very strong belief. Or, come to more commercial space, it was the freedom of mobility. And Henry Ford created a whole new industry, a new way of living our lives. Now we arrive at a different answer to the question that I asked right in the beginning. I've asked myself, what is a brand for? This is exactly the exercise that I went through in my head. Now what do I write? There I could give an answer of saying oh, this is the advantage. How do I write it now? To me, my argument is, it is for changing the world. It's for improving the lot of human existence. And it's for making a small difference based on big convictions. Many times we look for those big differences. Differences are very small. People are simple. I look for a small difference in my life based on but big convictions. That's more important. Many times I've seen people embarking on it. Oh, it doesn't work. Let me find something else. It's not something like it. It's not that. How convinced are you? If you're not convinced, don't even embark on that exercise. To me, capitalism began with giving. That's how capitalism begins. That's how brands came about in the first place. Look at this man. Lifebuoy was born. Lifebuoy was the first brand of Unilever. It was born to save the lives of people. It didn't slice and dice and market and then say, there's a fantastic opportunity for me to create a business empire. And it was born to save the lives of people, giving something back to the world. Or like in our homegrown Jamshedji Tata. Amazing empire. It was born to serve the community. When I look at John Cadbury or Milton Hershey, when you go back and read the story, It was on the verge of bankruptcy, but he refused to buy milk from anybody else other than the farmers, because that was the belief which it was started, that we will take milk only from the farmers who are growing there, and then otherwise it will not exist. He was ready to sacrifice the company, but never give up on that belief, on that idealism. So many of those belief-led brand examples, when I look at, through their foundational ideas, they continue to not only serve their consumers and themselves better, but also the wider, rapidly evolving community called Generation P. I'll tell you what I mean by Generation P and why it is so important to us. When you look at this, Gen Y and Z cohort, which roughly constitutes 2/3 of the world's population, are pretty much the same average in our country too. Their influence and spending power is huge. I don't need to emphasize that to you. You all have the data in front of you. Their preferences and expectations will dominate for decades to come, and corporates must stand up and take notice. They're very different kind. It's a highly transparent world that we live in, where everything is connected, everything is known, there's nothing to hide. And these are the people who are going to demand even more from the corporations. You can't hide behind that. Like, sometimes I find it funny when corporations come up and say, oh, I'm doing some CSR or something. It is not you. Don't think that you are doing some charity or something. If you are using the resources of this world, it is your responsibility to give back something to the society, because resources are not going to get replenished just like that. It won't happen. It's your duty, it's your responsibility to contribute meaningfully back to the society. So they are not like earlier generations, and they place greater importance on the companies and brands' purpose. And are you practicing it? Are you living that purpose? So Gen Y and Z have ascended to Gen P is the generation purpose. It's a nice way to call them as the generation purpose. And they demand fidelity. Brands, companies should respond by bringing clarity to what they value and believe in, and by attracting consumers not just by the strengths of their brands, but by the strength and fidelity of their actions. You got to show in your action. That's the reason why I always say purpose can't be a bolt-on. If you can't do that, if you can't live and if you can't practice, you just finish by giving a great product. That's all. You don't need to do anything more than that. But if you're embarking on this, please integrate your product into that. Now, it isn't difficult. Throughout time, when I look at it, best of the brands have continued to reflect and sometimes even inspire the evolution of humanity. That's how some of the brands, think of some of the brands. They've existed for 200 years, 150 years, 100 years. And they lead us, some of them lead us. They show us the way. They help us organize our lives. They show us a way of life. And how did they evolve? So I did a little exercise in our culture. When I look at our culture, Indian culture, it's the same pretty much like 2-3 years of variation across the world also. If I look at the last post-independence generation, if I look at it, and each decade, you look at the dominant value of the society and how people used brands. In the 60s, if you look at the dominant value, relatively young country post-independence, we didn't have much understanding of the commercial world of marketing and brands. Yes, how people use brands, they sought guidance. They sought guidance from corporations, help me buy. 70s, it's a different generation emerged, rebellion and negotiating with the system. 80s is another generation emerged. Dominant value of society was status and defining value through objects. The kind of objects that I'm seen with connoted my status value. 90s is about individuality and 2000s is about collaboration. Just to show you some illustrations. Yeah, that's what 60s were. Largely dominant brands of 60s, and that's how people sought affiliation was the dominant value and people sought guidance. 70s, I said rebellion. Okay, there are a lot of brands that you can talk about. Many brands are there. But to my mind, the best commercial brand of 70s is this. Nothing can beat that brand, and continues to thrive, that brand. Perhaps it's an icon. And 80s, I said it's status. And the best status symbol of 80s, think about that. That was the status symbol of this country. And look at it now, after 4 decades. 90s is about individuality. Now, don't argue about the picture that I put here, because since I'm writing the presentation, I chose to put it. Okay, some people ask me, why are you doing this? We don't agree with you and all. But 90s is about individuality. Yeah? I can relate to it. Mid-90s is my generation, so I can relate to that. Yeah. And 2000s is about collaboration, and these are the corporations that have taken birth of 2000, and then they helped us connect the world. And today, to me, it's no longer about the what, the where, the who, the why, how, and it's about the why. All of you have learned enough, you have known enough about the why. To me, it's no longer about what people buy, it's about what people buy into. By buying this, what am I buying into? Is there something larger beyond the economic unit of transaction? And that's what inspires me a lot. It's no longer about give me what I want, it's about support the ideals we believe in. And that's what this generation is about. These are the ideals that we believe in. If you want to have a relationship with me as a brand, are you part of the same belief system? Are you part of the same ideals? Do you share my ideals? And that's the question the younger audience have to us. So to me, that's where dominant value is about purpose, and how people use brands is to be part of something bigger. By buying this, am I part of something bigger? That's the question that I want to ask about. And post-COVID-19, enough work has been done, enough studies are there. Post-COVID-19, purpose only has got accelerated. It has got accelerated even further, because it's that moment in history where everybody had to come and then say, prove it. This is what it, this is how I'm going to be part of it. And this is how I'm going to contribute to you. And this is how I'm going to make lives better. They do three main things when I look at it. They stand up. When you embark on a brand with this stand, they stand up for something that they believe will deliver true value or otherwise improve the lives of customers or consumers. They stand out from competitors by intentionally and consistently delivering a distinct experience. We have all grown on Michael Porter's competitive advantage. To me, I find difficult, today, I don't know whether can anybody say, I have a competitive advantage. I don't know how long that shelf life is going to be. Instead, strive for it. That's what I feel when you take a stand. It gives you the distinct advantage which is uniquely yours. And you stand firm by creating the appropriate culture to ensure sustainable and authentic delivery over the long term. This is important. Again, many times people ask, every purpose is, you don't need to go and create world peace. All purpose doesn't mean that. If you can do that, if there's a natural fit for the product or the service that you come up with, you can go ahead. If it is not, you don't need to. Okay? You can elicit joy, you can enable connection, you can inspire exploration, you can evoke pride or impact society. When a brands like Dow and Tata Tea and all talk about, you can impact society directly. Or otherwise, you can do any of these things. Like when somebody, a brand like Coke, it gives me 2 minutes of great joy. And in those 2 minutes, if I'm having a great time with my relationships, with my partnerships and all, fantastic. Even that is purposeful in a small way. May not be in a big way, the other way it is, but it could be. The other one, which people keep asking me this question, I thought 2 key points I need to make is, many times when people come and say, is purpose, is it a Western concept? Is it an evolved concept? Does it apply to Indians? We are fighting for our survival and all. Yes, your questions are correct. My argument is, in India, even the poor wants purpose. Even the poor wants purpose in India. Because purpose is not something Western imported concept. It comes naturally to us. Comes from Indian Swadharma, the Japanese Ikigai, and more an Eastern philosophy than a Western philosophy. I'll give you 2 examples here. Look at this. Okay? 2 of our popular cultures. Okay? There's a Bollywood. Now, some of the people present here, you may not have been born when this movie happened, but it's one of the most iconic lines in Indian film industry. मैं आज भी फेंके हुआ पैसा नहीं उठाता. From Diwar. My point is, earning respect was well within one's own abilities. Earning wealth was not. I can earn respect. I don't need to have all the riches to demand respect. Placing respect over wealth and material well-being put power back into the hands of poor. Or this movie was such a super hit movie. Okay, now you ask, why was it? People were going again and again, watching 3 times, watching 4 times. I feel like he made the powerless feel powerful for 3 hours. And you enjoyed that. You enjoyed that. At that moment, you felt fantastic, damn good. And similarly, look at these movements. Now, when I look at these pictures, 7 or 8 out of 10 people, if they don't go to work for a day, they will not have a square meal. But I will stand for India against corruption. I'll stand for this cause. I'll stand for that. Now think about it. What is inspiring them? What is galvanizing them? What is motivating them to be part of that, to be part of such movements, to go into that? To me, a simple understanding of Maslow's hierarchy of needs doesn't explain any of this. Ask, how can people whose basic needs are yet to be met be worried about larger issues like corruption and respect and self-respect? Ask it. We all know that what happened during COVID-19, right? All the migrant workers, they dumped everything and went away because they just felt like, I've been ill-treated. I haven't been respected. I haven't been looked at them in the same way. That's what happens. Now, my answer is, the answer may lie in the fact that unlike wealth, everyone has a shot at earning respect. In the absence of material anchors and goalposts, respect and social values are significant identities, significant constituency of the identity of the poorer classes. That's the reason why. This may be the reason why people who are low in means are high in purpose, and purpose and respect to me are two cornerstones of the lives of the poor and the middle class in India. It'll always be a lot more meaningful. What we seek out of that is way, way different, and way, to my mind actually, way deeper and way higher when compared to the fashionable way purpose is practiced elsewhere. So this to me is the difference I see when you have a difference between a brand and when you move into a stand. Okay, this is about the what, the why. Here you have a point of difference. You have a point of view there. It's competitive and distinctive. Employees and missionaries. Is advertising here and actions there. Loyalty and love. Social responsibility as a social opportunity. It's the next quarter. Quarter is also very important there because in the beginning of the year I have taken a business responsibility also. So I respect quarter. So it's the next quarter century also happens here. So that's the shift I see. And with that, I'll share with you some of the examples. I'm not showing all my examples. There are some examples I'll show, something that I work on, and also more examples probably which to the wider knowledge of everybody. A stand is timeless. When you take a stand, it's timeless. To me, it's a timeless truth. The expressions have to be of the time. But if the truth is timeless, then that cuts across cultures, cuts across generations. And this is one brand, it's something that I've worked on for a long time. I continue to work on that. And this is beautiful. And somebody who passionately practices memories of the timeless taste of life. Stand is transformative. Okay. And everybody's favorite example, I don't need to speak about it, but I would love to speak about. This is a brand that I work on. And I'm very passionate about this brand. Tea should not just wake you up, but awaken you. And this is something, again, when you look at it, this to me is a great example of, when we talk about, that's an argument I always have with a lot of marketing friends of mine, my clients and all. It's an interesting argument. I refuse to believe brands are part of marketing. I always argue that long before marketing as subject is 80, 90 or 100 years old. Brands have existed in this universe for thousands of years. When you look at brands as part of culture, I can appropriate the societal and cultural innovations in the cause of society. Is exactly what happened with Tata Tea. When Tata Tea came to us, okay, the category of tea was in danger of disappearing, with the younger people moving to coffee, aided by the cafe culture, because drinking coffee is seen as a lot cooler when compared to typical tea is seen as very desi kind of thing. And from there, if you look at it, see, when you look at from a cultural understanding, in our culture, it's not tea. To me, it is chai. That's the big difference, because in the Western world, tea is a relaxant. The imagery associated with tea is always in the lounge chairs and gardens and all. You sit and discuss all kinds of things. When it comes to chai, that's how you use, chalo chai pi ke kaam karte and all those kinds of things. Chai is not a relaxant, it's a stimulant here. And that to me. And then I always say, in India, we don't make chai. We cook chai. हम उसमें दूध डालते, अदरक डालते, चीनी डालते, and you boil it to 100 degrees centigrade. After that, what happens? No relaxation. It's only stimulation. So that context was beautifully used here. And so when you wake up in the morning, the stimulation that it causes, it should awaken you to the ills of the society And that's beautifully done. Tea shouldn't just wake you up, but awaken you. Probably, I want to show you. Okay, if somebody may ask, because I come from advertising, I need to show at least 1 or 2 films. Like, otherwise I feel a little. Okay, let me show. This is one of our latest pieces of work. Yeah.
Welcome, parents. We are ready to begin. Kindly settle down.
Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water, but all the water had dried up. The world was now much hotter. So Jack and Jill sat on the hill. Their throats were so dry, they couldn't find a drop to drink. And one day, neither will I. मछली जल की थी रानी, जीवन उसका था पानी, पर पानी में प्लास्टिक फेंकते रहे हम, मछली को तरपते हुए बस देखते रहे हम। धीरे धीरे मर गई मछलियाँ सारी, रह गए बस फेंकी हुई चीजें हमारी। Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the smoggy sky, I have never seen you. I wonder why. The smoke, it makes my chest so tight. For every breath, I must fight. Mummies and daddies, आपके बचपन की फेवरेट पोएम्स बदल जाएंगी, क्योंकि हमारा बचपन क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से बदल रहा है। इससे लड़ने के लिए हम सबको चेंज होना पड़ेगा। क्लाइमेट चेंज से हम कैसे लड़ सकते हैं, जानिए jagore.com पर।
A stand also teaches us a lot of things. Okay, when you look at the brands like this, okay, you don't think about bricks. Another all-time favorite of mine, I love this brand, Dagache, like, it's fantastic. It has just become, few months ago, it has become $1 billion brand in this country. Okay, and I'm going to show a piece of work here. It's not the latest piece of work, but this is something that I love a lot, because this demonstrates that when you have a strong point of view, and I spoke about conviction, and when you have a client and an agency which is so convinced about it, you can, whatever be the context, whatever be the occasion, anything that you can beautifully bring in the purpose.
Come on.
वाह, मेरा कुर्ता, ये तो बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है। Thank you.
गरम समोसे, जलेबी गरम। अरे क्या कर रहे हो?
गरम समोसे, समोसे ले लो।
आज मेरी पेशानी पे किस्मत ने चूमा है, आज मेरी पेशानी पे किस्मत ने चूमा है। माहे मुक़द्दस में रोशन जहां है, माहे मुक़द्दस में रोशन जहां है।
जलेबी नहीं है?
है ना?
फरिश्तों ने आकर किया समा खुशनुमा है
हमारे
आज
लिए।
मेरी
बाकी ये सब इन प्यारे बच्चों के लिए है।
चूमा है आज आज मेरी पेशानी पे किस्मत ने चूमा है आज मेरी पेशानी
किसी की मदद करना भी एक इबादत है और मदद करने में अगर दाग लग जाए तो दाग तो अच्छे हैं। इस रमजान आप भी अपने बच्चों को मदद करने की तरगीब दें। लॉग ऑन टू surfexcel.pk।
A stand is fulfilling, and most of you would know this. Great example: for every pair of shoes you buy, one pair of shoes goes to somebody who is deprived of footwear in the world. Fantastic. Okay. I had an opportunity to meet this gentleman once, 4-5 years ago. I asked him, "What's your business model?" He described it beautifully in 3 words. He said, "Giving generates revenue." I think it's a highly profitable business, and they do quite well. I'll show one more example here, and then we'll.
What if I started a shoe company, and every time I sold a pair of shoes, I gave a pair away? And that way, if as long as I continue to keep selling shoes, these kids will have shoes for the rest of their life.
It's another example of like a brand which has 60% market share. Stand is a battle cry, and another great outstanding example of like, can you think of like it's great helping a child. The number of millions of children die before they reach the age of 5. A simple act of hand washing, how it can save the lives of people, is beautiful, and it's a brand. The story of this brand, the story of this crusade, I would call it, is not just another piece of communication that we do on this. It's like it was presented in United Nations as an outstanding, outstanding brand. Stand is ethos driven. Okay, another great. This was the company, if you had read it, earlier part of this year. They had written, the company was written to earth. Every single dollar that they make goes back into the earth. It doesn't go into anybody's pockets. Another lively example, what we have done in creating a culture in this country. Stand is inspiring, and again, everybody's favorite example. To me, I love this example. Can you think about a ball bearing company which doesn't even come into the radar of anybody? And look at their stand. Reducing friction moves the world forward. Outstanding. Absolutely fantastic. You can see, when you see a great stand, a great purpose, I can see my category in it. I can see my business in it. And yet it is beyond the category. And you have a beautiful delivery mechanism. Stand is born not from data, but from absolute conviction. Okay? And to create a world, anyone can belong anywhere. Fabulous. To give wings to people and ideas. Another great example. Stand tells a lovely stories. Okay? Relationships thrive on shared beliefs. Fantastic. Or to create happiness through magical experience. We all love this. Lastly, my point is, purpose is a force as strong as gravity, but instead of pulling things down, I believe, okay, it pushes things forward. So I'll end with this, because this man had done something really worthy in the last 9 years. And if he's saying that, there is some truth in it. Purpose is the point, and profit is the result. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sure.
We have a few questions, yeah.
The first one is, what comes first, product or purpose?
Whoever asked this question is a very good question.
Bhuvan Kumar from Mahindra.
Okay. Have a purpose and design your product accordingly. Okay. Whatever product it is, you can, see, it can start the other way around. You have that's probably that's the case, in a lot of cases it happens. When you have a product in hand, if you start if you are sincere, you are committed, and say that, no, I am going to look for something beyond the economic unit of transaction that I do. What is something that I can make people buy into, not just the buying this particular product, and you can discover. And one thing I want to tell is, purpose doesn't come from scanning the market and doing a competitive analysis. Don't do all that. It comes from within. It comes from inside. It's already there. It is already there deeply inside. It's a question of unearthing, discovering, and bringing it out. Then it becomes natural to you, something that you can live. You can live, you can practice, you can act on it. And as I said, it's your belief, and you can make it the belief of others too. But don't look for a competitive purpose. There's nothing like a competitive purpose. Your purpose is uniquely yours.
The next one is, if emotions are also replicable, isn't purpose going to be a natural extension? Can't my purpose also be copied or shared between brands?
It can be copied, but the way you live it cannot be copied. Okay? The way you live it, it's your living. Somebody can do whatever you do in the outside, but the way you live your life, only you know it, how you are living it. And if you are authentic to your purpose, and you live it through authentic practices, and I think you can make a great story out of it. And many times when I see it, that's the point that I said. The purpose cannot be a bolt-on purpose. I have created for the purpose where everybody is talking about purpose, so I also need to have a purpose. If it's not a natural fit for your product or the service, and if you think, don't mistake it with, I don't have the resources to live my purpose. Either you have the conviction to live it, or you don't have the conviction to live it. If you have conviction, you can live the purpose. You can generate resources. The world will come and partner you to make it happen for you. It doesn't. It's not about that. Okay? So be authentic about it, and you can do it. Thank you. Thank you so much.